today's video, we're going to go over the 3 characters I think are going to be the best in Season 2. Let's get into it. If all the deception and court politics weren't enough for you, for whatever reason, in Season 1, then you'll most likely love Season 2. And at the center of all that is going to be Rhaenyra. In Season 1, the show didn't really focus on the battles and or wars that were going on, like the fighting and the stepping stones. But at the end of Season 1, we got a little taste of this when Daemon acted as a general at the war table. Of course, this was just to set up Season 2, but nonetheless. I'm definitely looking forward to getting a taste of war strategy, especially if it's anything like in Game of Thrones, and even more so in the books. While Rhaenyra doesn't seem like a gifted war strategist or anything like that, she's probably going to have the most opportunities to show off her skills as a general. And since she's the main character, we can bet she's going to get some love in this aspect. Another reason why I think Rhaenyra will be the best character in Season 2 is because she won't be whitewashed, or at least not as much. It's very possible the show lets Rhae go crazy on the greens. Think about it. Except for Season 2 was Luke being murdered, and at this point the audience sympathizes with her and the writers know that. We'll be able to get away with more without looking like a villain. And increasing this ruthless aspect about her character hopefully will make her more gray and therefore more interesting. On top of that, giving her this revenge arc makes her more relatable. If her main motivation is to avenge someone she loves, it's much more relatable compared to her just wanting a throne. To build on that, the rivalry she's going to have with the Greens will likely make her more interesting as well. This is a double-edged sword though. At times in Season 1, the drama between Rhaenyra and Alicent could be too much and somewhat nonsensical and bordering on melodrama. For example, Alicent and Rhaenyra were cool after the family dinner, but then Viserys said the prophecy on his deathbed, and all of a sudden Alicent wants to steal the throne again. Like, I thought they made up. Why was Alicent so ready to steal the throne after Viserys said this prophecy that she misunderstood, which contradicted everything else he said and did? Scenes like this also hurt Alicent's character as well because she seems irrational, petty, or both. So of course if Alicent looks bad, then that's likely going to hurt the rivalry dynamic. To have a rival, the other person has to at least be competent. That being said though, I think Rhaenyra has a pretty good chance of being the best character in Season 2. On next to the obvious pick is Daemon. He was already a fan favorite in Season 1, but once again, just like Rhaenyra, he's going to have a lot of opportunities to shine in Season 2. Since next season will start off with the Dance of Dragons, Daemon's going to have a whole bunch of opportunities to look cool killing people. And with Westeros at war, he's probably going to be let off his leash to do pretty much whatever he wants, unlike in Season 1, where politics, diplomacy, and so on kept him in check. And really, this aspect about him can't be understated enough. George R.R. Martin has talked about his love for Daemon for this very reason. Ultimately, Daemon's coolness and ability to not follow the rules everyone else is following helps make him morally gray, like when he killed Vaemond. Besides that, another point you could bring up for Daemon is that just like Rhaenyra, his increased political role will be more apparent. While arguably insane, he seems like a good war general. He has good control over the Golden Cloaks, although what he did with them was questionable, but this increased role will allow him to interact with more characters and make more decisions as a ruler. We got a taste of that in Season 1, and pretty much whenever Daemon made any moves, he was the center or highlight of that episode. Unlike Rhaenyra, the fandom knows Daemon is more unhinged, so he'll be able to get away with more stuff. While people did get mad that he choked Rhaenyra at the end of Season 1, the vast majority of characters in television can't choke their wives and still be liked by fans of the show. Really, all this tells me is that the writers can make Daemon do any crazy shit they want without the fans disliking him. And overall, I think this is a positive since he seems to thrive off of chaos and negativity. Most importantly for Daemon, the death of Viserys is vital for his character development here. The absence of Viserys will also make him unhinged, since it seemed like the only thing that reined him in a little bit was Viserys, although he failed to accomplish that every time. The obvious aspect of this was that Viserys was king, and while he had that power, Daemon couldn't do all that much. But even besides that, it seems like Viserys kept Daemon in check somewhat on an emotional level. The Daemon that swore allegiance to Rhaenyra and the Daemon that liked to just fuck with Viserys are two entirely different characters. Him being as loyal as he is to Rhaenyra in a time of war just tells me this man will likely do anything to preserve his role as a husband to the queen, which also signifies that he has something to lose, which makes him significantly more dangerous. Aemon is the real wild card when it comes to Season 2, in my opinion. Much like Daemon, he was already very well liked, but that's with having less screen time and being introduced in the middle of the season as a kid. Also, like Daemon, he relies on being cool. If you want a longer breakdown of that, I have a whole video on Aemon, but I think he differs from Daemon in the fact that we actively see his backstory and motivations. This is probably why he stands out compared to the other kid characters. It's kind of surprising even how much focus is on Aemon because you'd think that same attention would be applied to Aegon. But I really just like Aemon's dynamic with the dragons. He's the only one without one, but then proceeds to get the biggest one and is the only one to lose control of it on screen. The dynamic between him and Vhagar is interesting in itself. And since Aemon does ride Vhagar, this is only going to make him more important in any wartime scenario. I would argue Aemon is more battle-oriented than Daemon, so the show will likely spotlight this part of his character whenever possible. Although he was pretty much a side character in season 1, I predict that he's going to be a lot more important. Besides his expertise on fighting, Aemon is pretty much better than Aegon in every single way, and this will give him multiple moments to shine off the battlefield as well. It also seems likely that Aemon will have this general role, much like Daemon, where he's more capable than the leader of his side. The show really hasn't put any faith into Aegon's decision-making skills, and pretty much every decision Aegon has made was the wrong one. So once again, I think it's pretty likely Aemon is going to take a decent amount of control as soon as the war starts. But I guess we'll just have to see for season 2. If you suck at waiting and want to read Fire and Blood, then check out my Amazon link below to get the book. It helps me out and the channel. But alright guys, see you next week.